And another transfer through the door. What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to Beyond the 90. We've got a special video today. We're going to look into Casedei. We're going to be looking into some of the formations, how he's played, looking at the under-20s World Cup and how impressive he was for that, what we can expect, and also we're going to hear from a Chelsea fan getting his thoughts on it as well. I'll sum up with my conclusions as well as part of that. But apart from that, let's get straight into the video with some of the analysis. So who is he? You've probably seen it before, some of the compilations at the moment. But so he's 20 years old. Again, he's 185. But again, it's the same height as Wilfred Ndidi there or thereabouts. And also we'll get onto it. He can hang in the air for quite a bit as well. We're seeing his again. He plays mostly in that right position, in the midfield position as a centre midfielder. And we're going to get into some of the specific later on. Most importantly, he's right-footed. This is something that we've needed in the squad for quite a while. And of course, with some players that are going to leave, he's going to be the backup. He's probably coming into the squad. He's going to be a player that plays a lot as well. So looking at this, it looks though he was bought, looking at this, coming into here, he was bought by Chelsea again last year as part of their system where they're trying to train up the young players and how that works at the moment, and then build basically the world-class squad when they get into their prime. But looking into this, again, he was out on Reading for a little bit, increases value for a bit. Again, his fee was 15 million euros. And then he increased his fee by that. In a weak Reading side, let's be honest, I think they ended up getting relegated last season. But he was one of the standouts, and he was only there for a short period of time. So he was only there for a short period, and he was one of the players that stood out. The plan was to get him a Premier League move. Didn't quite work out, and now he's come to Leicester. So let's look at his FBref stats. What can we make of them? What's going to be positive? What's going to be negative? Let's look at them now. So in general, you can see that, again, a pass attempted, relatively small. Obviously, there's something that is a bit concerning, but assists, again, not too high. But penalties, again, he takes penalties, good at set pieces. And what he's really good at, again, the tackles, interceptions, blocks, aerials won. This is where we're going to succeed. With the Leicester team at the moment, the reason why we're seeing Ndidi in the team is he's that aerial threat. This is where probably Casedei comes in and plays that role. He's good at dribbling, good at taking on, good vision for a pass as well. Now, the problem is with an under-23, we don't really have the full statistics. This doesn't show the best picture, in my opinion. But speaking to Chelsea fans, we'll get Lewis on in a second at the end of the video. And talking about that, what he expected from him, he said we'll get into that in a second. But again, this doesn't reflect highly of him at the moment. But I still think from a player, the profile that we need, this is really promising. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to compare him to Dewsbury Hall, because them two are very similar in that sense. So here we go at the moment, Casedei and Dewsbury Hall. At the moment, again, this is the problem. There's not a lot of facts and stats. I'm just going off vibes and things at the moment. So it looks like they're both as physical. But again, it looks like he's a lot further down in terms of like vision and things like that. He's a raw talent. You've got to think KDH is 25 now. He's coming into his prime. The likes of Casadei is 20. There's a lot of development to do. But I'm very impressed with what I've seen so far and what Chelsea fans are telling me. Some of them didn't want him to leave. But overall, again, we can't read too much into this, but I thought I'd just show you anyway. Physicality, they're very similar. I think that Casadei's a little bit taller. He might be a bit skinnier as well, so that could be something we could work on to build him out and bulk him out a little bit. Heading, they're very similar. And if you've ever seen some of the goals from him, he holds in the air for such a long period of time, which is kind of reminds me of Wilfred Ndidi in that sense. Obviously, Wilfred Ndidi has been playing that right-hand side, which we'll get into just now as well. So Leicester will probably set up like this. So coming into, I know Humanson's got a little bit of injury at the moment, and I've kept out Cody because we know Cody's going to come straight back into the lineup. But this is how we've just set up at the moment for the players that we currently have in our squad. Mavididi there, and then this is where we're going to have Ricardo with Winks sitting alongside him, and KDH, as we've been seeing in the Coventry game and things like that, will be running into the box and then providing those headers late into the game, taking people on, dribbling, taking players forward. Casedei, I think, will do a similar position, but coming to this right-hand side. He's right-footed, and this is where I think he will thrive. With somebody like Winks behind, I know that it's not exactly the best defensive cover, but with Vestergaard, Doyle, and Fuss, that kind of makes up for it, and also Ricardo's there as well. So coming into that, you're probably going to see Casedei moving into this midfield, and when you've got the four, so when we see the 4-2-3, the 3-2-4-1 like this, and McAteer when potentially Raksaki coming in that position as well, we've got quite an attacking lineup. This Winks getting the ball in this position allows him to ping the balls over to these players, allowing Casadei to probably drift into this position. McAteer probably on the overlap, and same with Mavididi getting more central, KDH. So then we've got, again, and Vardy bringing people into the game. We're going to see basically this is the 5 that's going to be attacking and going forward as well. So we're going to see Casadei probably come in to this side and then probably look to play the ball in this way, to either to score because it looks like he's good with his feet, or also to get on his head and then to put the ball in, with Jamie Vardy kind of holding it up. So that's how I see he'll fit into the Leicester squad. So we touched on it briefly. He was out for a little bit in Reading. What do you think that he'll do? What did he do there? So again, just reading this, again, just one of the articles. Again, I'll link that below. Again, he's just over 6'1". He's a colossus in the air. This is what they said before they signed him. Signed up really well. Again, attacking abilities, aggressive set pieces, coupled with, again, a ghostly marking, reference of Michael Ballack, which is, again, very, very high praise as well. And just one other thing I want to show you. This is an example of him. Again, I don't think I'll get taken out because this is a GIF of how he can hang in the air. Again, imagine Mavididi coming doing this and then really towering header. This is on the under-20s or under-23s, and he's playing like this. So there is good formation. They were really excited to get him when he was at Reading, and he played well. Now's his step up. We're going to ask Lewis a little bit about some of the details, but in particular, I'm really excited to see him. But let's get Lewis's thoughts, and again, let's get into the video. So the first question I asked Lewis is, what does he make of Casadei? Because from speaking to him over the summer, he's really rated him.
I see if things go the right way in his development, you've got like the Italian Yaya Toure. If everything goes to the right level, obviously he's not near that right now, but there's phases where he's looked very good carrying the ball, has had good trickery and a good final ball. Obviously, there's been bad areas as well where he's been a little bit exposed defensively. He's lacked composure, wrong decision-making times as well. But that comes with a player of his age. Right now, I see where his trajectory is. And Leicester's a good team for it. I think you're going to be one of the championship teams that dominate possession. So he's going to have an idea of what it feels like to be in a team that's doing well on the ball. You guys got an ex-coach of Pep, which guarantees good football. It's the right move. It's the right move. I think you're really going to enjoy the player.
The next question I asked Lewis is about Chelsea fans. Do they see this as the right move for Casadei's development? Because they're obviously thinking long-term with him.
Yeah, like I'm hoping you guys go up so we could potentially send him back for another year and then have him have a season in the Premier League. Because I see a 2-year plan potentially with him. But it was good to send him on a team that plays on the front foot, because that's what Chelsea want to be doing. And you guys are the right move for that. I know a lot of people saying send him to a Premier League side and everything. You could have done that, but this is like the next best thing. You guys are going to dominate the championship, at least in my predictions.
Yeah, I think so as well. I'm hoping we can, because we've looked brilliant so far, but it's just the beginning of the project. And in terms of that, you mentioned again Premier League loan. Are you surprised that he didn't get a Premier League loan? Because I think this has been banging on for most of the summer now. But they were holding out. Chelsea were holding out for a Premier League team. Is this kind of, would you see that much of a difference from the Premier League side compared to where Leicester are at the moment?
Not as much as with, like, let's say Andre Santos for example, because he had a near flawless preseason. I wouldn't say that with Casadei. Like, he's had good phases, he's had bad phases. He's looked like one of the players who's better off taking a step back, and I think the championship still is that. So it would have been ideal, but it doesn't make a difference to me him going to the championship or the Premiership, because people do well in either league and they can translate into the Premier League for a bigger side. So I'm fine with him going to Leicester.
Fair enough. No worries. And just what kind of profile of player that have you picked up about him? Because I've picked up a little bit, but what have you picked up about what kind of profile he is?
Just looks like a straight ball carrier, but he's got a good final ball on him at the end. Like, I would be playing him in the box-to-box role. Wouldn't have him sit defensively. I don't think he's got the composure for that just yet. And I think that takes away from his best attributes. When he's driving with the ball, he's a fucking tank. Nobody's stopping him. And if he can just get that composure in his game, different player.
Fair enough. And I think that's where we'll really thrive with him as well, especially on that right-hand side. He'll probably play a high 8 in terms of that. And one thing I've noticed as well from his time at Reading and his time in Italy for the under-20s, he's been the set piece taker. As he's been doing that much for Chelsea and like from free kicks and corners, but also he can hang in the air for quite a while as well.
Oh, yeah. He definitely seems like the sort of player with the aerial threat. Set pieces, I won't lie, I haven't seen a lot. Either that or I don't recall, probably because nothing really came of it. But if he's got that in his game, even better. Like, we've had next to no set piece takers last season. The only one we've brought in so far is Nkuku. So, yeah, I'm happy, more than happy with him having that as set. But we'll see how that comes out at Leicester because I haven't seen a lot of it yet.
Yeah, and I think Nkuku's injured for a bit, isn't he?
Yeah, he's out till December. Just our luck. Last preseason game before Liverpool. Typical.
That's no good. Well, anyway, coming into this as well, how do you think he'll do at Leicester? Obviously, it's hard to predict now. I've not seen too much of him. Obviously, you've seen a little bit of him. Do you think it's the right move for him? And do you think you're mentioning Enzo's the right coach to get the best out of him?
I think Leicester's the right move for him. It's just we haven't seen enough of your coach specifically. So I'm hoping it's just Pep has an amazing track record of bringing out smart assistant coaches who go on to do good things. Hopefully it's the case for Leicester. Again, I ideally want you guys to come up this season. But like you said, it's too early to tell. One game, you guys came back against Coventry, I think. It's just one game. It's the same thing for us. We could beat Liverpool, but we can't jump to conclusions of that either.
So again, thanks to my guy Lewis. Make sure you go check him out, Carefree Lewis G and Chelsea Fan TV as well. So we get a little bit of thoughts. My thoughts, I'm really excited about this. I'm really excited about what Enzo's bringing. My only concern would be, just in general, call me cynical, we haven't got a lot of experience. With Tiernan Dewsbury Hall ranking and coming up to those levels, he's stepping up as well. But we're getting young players in, and we've seen with the likes of Arsenal, when young players come together, have they got the capacity to stick together when the going gets rough? Arsenal is a great example. Young manager, young team, and they failed. Yes, they failed. They dropped off, and Man City just came and dominated. I'm not saying it's going to happen to us, but I'm a little bit concerned. In terms of Casedei, I think he's a fantastic. I don't think he'll be there. Lewis mentioned he'll be there, potentially there for 2 years. I see him getting into the squad, we trend developing, and then we're sending him back. I don't see him as a long-term future. If we do pull this off and we do go to Chelsea and we get this kind of player on the long term, that shows ambition. That reminds me of kind of the Yuri moment where we go, this is the level that we can get to with the squad. And from what we need, I'm really looking forward to seeing how he links up with Harry Winks, how he's good at set pieces, because that's an issue at the moment. We don't really have somebody that's that great at set pieces. Wilfred and Diddy there, and that's about it. And also, will he be coming and be the penalty taker? I don't think so. I still think KDH Winks will be the penalty taker over him, but it's just something interesting to mention as well. How will he do in Leicester? I think he'll get off, as Lewis said, to a bit of a wobbly start. Just as we're going to throw him, I think, in for the Huddersfield game, get him done and get him into the first team. But coming into the long term of this, I think we've done this right. Enzo has been a massive factor in this. And I love that Enzo is kind of getting his way. There's been certain people that have been shifted out of the squad that I'm not too, like, for example, Suter. I like Suter, but if Enzo doesn't rate him and he needs to go somewhere else, okay. Christensen, another one. I really like Christensen. I think when he came into the squad, he was so good. But Pep doesn't play. Sorry, Pep. Freudian slip. Enzo doesn't play with wing backs like that anymore. He doesn't really play in that kind of formation. Doyle has taken over. We essentially need another Doyle as replacement for him. But in general, I'm really happy with how this turned out. The fact that we've got a player of that quality that's going to come to Leicester and try and take us back to the Premier League, I think is great. Utilising the loan market well. I'm glad we're doing that because A, FFP, and B, because in the long term, next year, we have more money to play with. A, being back in the Premier League and that FFP window. Again, I don't quite understand it, but apparently it ends this season and then it rolls over new when we go into this one. So we'll have a lot more money. So I don't mind utilising the loan system. And also, you think about the training ground. You think about who he's working under. You think about what the ambition is for this squad. I know Chelsea are an ambitious team as well. But you know what they're like. They will buy a player and they will keep him. Oh, he's going to be around there. Yeah, yeah, come. And he'll just rot on the bench because they'll go and buy in the new player in his position. We could convince him, but I'm not holding up too much hope. Not because I don't want him in the squad, but for a lone player, I think he's going to do quite well. There's a reason why I'm doing less analysis and more of a conversation on this one. So again, what do you think? Do you think he'll be a success at Leicester City? It's very early days, and I want to see him when he gets into month February, March, April, May, what he's made of. It will take time for him to adapt, but Enzo has worked his magic, and I love that Enzo's getting the players he wants. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you like, subscribe, all that good stuff. You've had another transfer. Again, like and subscribe, all that good stuff. Subscribe to the channel. We're closing on 2.5K, hopefully, by the end of the year. I really appreciate all your love and support that you give in the comments. I do read them. I've just not had a lot of time to reply. And we'll see you all in the next video. So goodbye.